If our founding fathers were deists and they were members of the secret societies, and some of them were masquerading as Christians, and some of them were just flat where Christians weren't masquerading at all, why did they create this country? They didn't come here to create a country. They came here to create a new world. What did they call it? They called it the New World, didn't they?
Presently, here in America, there's a concerted effort by the ruling class to foment a race war. Both black and white citizens are being manipulated into feeding into this racial conflict by the propaganda being put forth by the media. Almost every day, another national story hits the news about a white person unnecessarily calling the police on black folk. Earlier this year, there was a story about Starbucks employees calling the police on two black men in Philadelphia.
No longer, no further. Protesters calling for justice today after the arrests of two black men at this Philadelphia Starbucks on Thursday. This video, captured by a witness's cell phone, shows police talking and later handcuffing the men while they were waiting for a friend. The men wanted to use the restroom, but the manager said that per store policy, they couldn't since they didn't buy anything. When they wouldn't leave, she called police.
These men sued Starbucks for $1 each.
If you were expecting to hear about some massive settlement, think again. An attorney for Rashawn Nelson and Dante Robinson say they're walking away with a mere $2 and an important promise.
On Wednesday, the two men arrested and the city of Philadelphia struck an agreement. Dante Robinson and Rashawn Nelson will be paid $1 each by the city and have their arrest records expunged.
I'm thrilled that they just did it for $1 with the city. It showed a lot of class on their part.
The impact and significance of this gesture, an award of $1 each, is lost on most. It actually refers to the movie Trading Places, which is the story of an upper-class commodities broker and a homeless street hustler whose lives cross paths when they are unknowingly made part of an elaborate bet. The movie Trading Places is referred to as the modern-day take on Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper, which is about a poor look-alike who takes the place of the true king. This is a reference to the false Messiah or Antichrist, who usurps the place of Christ, since Antichrist actually means in place of Christ. A commodity is a thing of value which can be bought and sold, like the dark-skinned coffee beans used to make coffee at Starbucks. Also, it should be noted that from this country's inception in 1776 until 1860, African slaves were bought, sold, or traded as a commodity, just like coffee beans are. In the movie Trading Places, the Duke brothers, Randolph and Mortimer, own a successful commodities brokerage in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Remember the incident involving racism happened at Starbucks in Philadelphia. Notice one of the black men that was arrested is wearing a shirt that says Paradigm on the sleeve. A paradigm is a typical example of something, a standard set of concepts or thought patterns. In this case, the orchestrated event is attempting to show an example or pattern of bigotry and racism faced by minorities. Holding opposing views on the issue of nature versus nurture, the brothers make a wager and agree to conduct an experiment, switching the lives of two unwitting people who are at opposite sides of the social hierarchy. They settle their bet for $1 after observing the results.
Pay up, Mortimer. I've won the bet.
Here, $1.
We took a perfectly useless psychopath like Valentine and turned him into a successful executive. And during the same time, we turned an honest, hard-working man into a violently deranged would-be killer.
The implication behind the court's decision to have Starbucks pay $1 to each of these two black men for the racism they endured should signal to us all that this entire incident was nothing more than a social experiment. In America, so-called blacks are at the bottom of the social hierarchy and whites atop it. What would happen if we traded places?
They called it the New World, didn't they? What else did they call it? The Grand Experiment? The Great Experiment? Remember reading those words? And just read right over them, didn't really understand what it meant?
Earlier this year, the media also broadcast an incident where a white female police officer, Amber Geiger, supposedly mistakenly entered into a black man, Botham Jean's home and subsequently shot and killed him.
Now with the new images in the deadly police mistake in Dallas, authorities identifying the off-duty officer who shot and killed the youth pastor in his own home, telling police she thought she was in her apartment and that he was an intruder. Here's ABC's Zachary Quiche.
Tonight, this new video posted by a neighbor appears to show an off-duty Dallas police officer in uniform and in distress, moments after she walked into an apartment that she thought was hers and killed the man living there.
The name Botham means the bottom or lowest point. Shem means fame or reputation. Shem was the son of Noah and father of the Semitic people, the ancestor to the Hebrews. Jean means new garments of twilled cloth. Therefore, the name Botham Shem Jean means we are at the bottom, the lowest part of the valley, but we have a famous reputation as descendants of the Semitic people, the Hebrews, and we shall be given new garments of twilled cloth. Praise Yah. Remember that the theme of trading places is all about those who are at the bottom of the social hierarchy, switching places with the ones on top. The news media has also shown us videos of a white student calling the police on a black student at Yale.
Outrage this morning over this confrontation at Yale University.
I have every right to call the police and not sleep in that room.
This white student called police on a black graduate student who fell asleep while writing a paper in the dorm's common area. 4 officers respond.
It should be noted that Yale is the place where the OSS and eventually CIA was created. It is also the home to the secret society, Skull and Bones, the organization which produced President George Bush, who called for a new world order.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
They didn't come here to create a country. They came here to create a new world. What did they call it?
A new world order.
A new world order. A new world order. A new world order. A new world order.
In another incident of staged racism, we were also shown a white woman who called the police on a little boy and accused him of sexually assaulting her in a grocery store.
Teresa Klein, now known as Corner Store Caroline on the internet, loudly accused a 9-year-old boy of grabbing her behind.
I just was sexually assaulted by a child.
Klein returned to the bodega Friday and watched the surveillance video from inside the store with us.
After this, my little dance.
The footage clearly shows the boy's hands in plain sight, and it was his book bag that grazed her.
I was wrong.
This incident was meant to conjure up the same feelings of disgust and outrage that were felt by the black community after the brutal murder of Emmett Till, who was accused of whistling at a white woman in a grocery store. As a side note, I must mention that Emmett Till just so happened to to be from Chicago, like Barack Obama. Most recently, we were shown a white woman who attempted to block a black man from entering into his apartment.
You can film me, that's fine.
I understand that, but you're blocking me.
Into my building.
Okay. It's my building as well, so I need you to get out my way.
Okay, what unit?
I don't need to tell you that information. So excuse me, ma'am.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay.
We have also been shown the antics of Kanye West in his support of Donald Trump.
You know I love you. But I don't want to put you in that spot. But
no, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here. I love this guy right here.
Yeah, amen. Yes.
This is the ultimate depiction of a house Negro supplicating to his master as described by Malcolm X.
You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?"
You know I love you.
But I don't want to put you in that spot. But
no, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here. I love this guy right here.
Yeah, amen. Yes.
Again, as a side note, I must also mention that Kanye West is from Chicago as well. Moreover, we must not forget that Donald Trump's presidency was also an orchestrated event that was telegraphed to the American public by Barack Obama, who roasted Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in 2011.
Someone should get to the bottom of that. And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. Say what you will about Mr. Trump, he certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there.
Barack Obama, being the first black president who ran on a platform of change, was different than all the traditional white presidents who came before him. In essence, Obama's story is a story of trading places from one who was at the lower rung of the social hierarchy to the highest position in the land. After broadcasting Kanye West at the White House, the news media then brought out Dave Chappelle to give his opinion on Kanye's behavior.
There is this question, though, around Democrats versus Republicans. And you have people like Kanye West who's saying, listen, love you guys and Democrats.
Excuse me 1 second.
The real reason the media decided to defer to Dave Chappelle on this issue is because Dave Chappelle hosted The Chappelle Show, which was an edgy sketch comedy show which could pass as a modern-day minstrel show that was built upon characters acting out racial stereotypes in an exaggerated form to where it was comical. The show was known for crossing the line on taboo topics of race relations in America. One episode featured a white family known as the nigger family.
Morning, niggas! Why, it's Clifton, our colored milk fan. And it's my favorite family to deliver milk to. The niggas.
Another episode featured a black white supremacist. Both of these sketches presented a type of trading places for people on two opposite sides of the racial divide. In fact, one of the reasons Dave Chappelle said that he left the show was because he admittedly felt like he had become a coon, as if he had become a caricature of racism himself, and people were laughing at him and not with him.
They calling you that N-word, but don't say it. And it was funny. And the premise of the sketch was that every race had this like pixie, this like racial complex. And but the pixie was in blackface. Now, blackface is a very difficult image. But the reason I had chosen blackface at the time was because this was going to be the visual personification of the N-word. It was a good spiritual intention behind it. But what I didn't consider is how many people watch the show and how the way people use television is subjective.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I could go finish because I have a story to tell you.
So then when I'm on the set and we're finally taping a sketch, somebody on set that was white laughed in such a way. I know the difference of people laughing with me and people laughing at me. And it was the first time I'd ever gotten a laugh that I was uncomfortable with. Not just uncomfortable, but like, should I fire this person?
These recurring themes are meant to shine a spotlight on racism in order to keep the country divided. In this way, the ruling class keeps the people from uniting and fighting against the erosion of our collective freedoms. In doing this, America, the last superpower, will be toppled, and the New World Order, the Empire State, will replace it as the supreme global government. In preparation for the rise of the New World Order, or the Empire State, Eminem performed the song Venom atop the Empire State Building. The symbolism of Eminem on top of the Empire State Building is a depiction of the Antichrist, the human political figure who shall be indwelt by the spirit of Satan, sitting at the top of the Empire State, which represents the world government or New World Order Empire. Notice Eminem says, knock knock, let the devil in.
Knock knock, let the devil in.
This is a twisting of the words of the true Messiah from Scripture, which is found in Revelation chapter 3, verse 20, which declares, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. By performing the song Venom, Eminem is referring to the demonic possession that will completely take over the false Messiah and all those who receive the mark of the beast. There is much more to be unpacked in the symbolism surrounding the use of the Empire State Building in this ritual as well. In 1933, the top of the Empire State Building forever became synonymous with King Kong, since the movie King Kong premiered at Radio City Music Hall at that time. In the original film, the character's name is Kong, a name given to him by the inhabitants of Skull Island in the Indian Ocean, where Kong lives. The fact that King Kong is from Skull Island is very important, as it connects him to a Christ-like character. We find this in John 19:17. They took Jesus, therefore, and he went out, bearing his own cross, to the place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew, Golgotha. Skull Island, then, is a reference to Golgotha, the place where the Messiah was crucified. The name King Kong is also a reference to the Messiah, since King Kong actually means glorious king. However, since Eminem is rapping the song Venom and speaking of letting the devil in, we can be sure that he is depicting the false Messiah. During this song, Eminem raps, "Slim be the combination of an actual kamikaze and Gandhi. Translation, I will probably kill us both when I end up back in India." In a recent video, we discussed how the name kamikaze is a reference to an evil spirit. The mention of Gandhi here is a reference to the Indian activist who was the leader of the Indian independence movement and was most known for his nonviolent approach to civil disobedience as a man of peace. Therefore, a combination of a kamikaze, or a person filled with an evil spirit, and a man of peace is representative of the false man of peace, the Antichrist.
Distinguished members of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, citizens of America, and citizens of the world, I receive this honor with deep gratitude and great humility. And yet I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the considerable controversy that your generous decision has generated. In part, this is because I am at the beginning and not the end of my labors on the world stage.
Also, Eminem's reference to India and Venom can be connected with the practice of snake charming, which is most common in India. Putting all of that to the side for a moment, we must also explore the psychological implications found in the theme of the movie King Kong, which suggests that it is rooted in the fear of the upward mobility or ascendance of the so-called black man in America and the appropriation of Caucasian women by the same. These racist sentiments are revealed and shared openly in the movie Inglorious Bastards, a movie which is centered around the war against Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. During the movie, there's a scene in a bar which describes the similarities between King Kong and the so-called African American, fusing their stories together as interchangeable and inseparable from one another, making them one and the same. The fact that this story is related to moviegoers by Caucasian men wearing Nazi uniforms representing Hitler's master race furthers the themes of white supremacy and bigotry as well. In fact, the title of the movie itself hides a secret. The word inglorious can be broken down to the prefix in plus the word glorious. The prefix in takes the negative form to mean without. The word glorious means to be celebrated, distinguished, having honor, heavenly and divine. Therefore, the word inglorious means to be without glory, without distinction, and without honor of the heavenly and divine. A bastard is an illegitimate child, one that is not in accordance with the law, a reprobate sinner. Inglorious bastards, then, means children who are not in accordance with the law, reprobate sinners who are without glory and distinction given by God. This is a reference to the lawless one and his followers, the children of the devil. As fate would have it, these inglorious bastards, these goats, those who are poor and blind and naked, would like to trade places with the royal priesthood, with the sheep, the true children of the Most High. Which group do you belong to? All praise and honor and glory and power and might be to the Most High God for revealing the schemes of the enemy to his children. Amen. Shalom.